Score early this NFL with this season's FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, now is no better time to get in on the action. The app is super easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. You guys can visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to kick off this NFL season. And today's FanDuel bet comes from our boy Martian at Starboy Master. Put $2 on a 25-game parlay and won $1,996.
That's a massive turnaround, by the way.
That is crazy.
A $2 wager, a 25-leg parlay that resulted in $1,096.53. Shout out to Martian. That is our biggest ticket winner of the FanDuel
for
UCSS
a $2 bet.
Yet.
I mean, talk about the great value there.
Unbelievable return on investment there.
All right, I want to look at the latest FanDuel line. Bring up fresh here. The Browns are back to a 7.5-point favorite. They opened as a 7.5-point favorite against the Cardinals and went down to 7, and now it's back up to 7.5. With the unknown quarterback situation. But obviously, guys, the big story of the day, we'll get to the quarterback situation. We don't know who's starting for the Cardinals. We don't know who's starting for the Browns. And we don't know if anybody's going to make a trade. The trade deadline is just under 5 hours from now.
Yeah. It's
a little hard to concentrate.
It is. Have you ever thought about growing your hair out like that?
Never.
You look good. I'm telling you, it's a good look.
This is an awful look. What are you talking about? I look like an idiot.
I think he looks good.
I can't take you seriously. Go ahead. What's the question now?
I can't take myself seriously. Oh, my beautiful locks. I don't know what the hell the question is.
The question is, are the Browns going to make a quarterback move? Minnesota's in a similar situation. Kirk Cousins is out for the season.
Okay.
They've been linked now in just the last 24 hours to Jameis and a couple of
Are you going to be even more pissed if the Browns don't make a move if you see a team like Minnesota, who's got a worse record than the Browns, make a move? Yes or no?
No, I'm not.
Does that factor in?
No, because I know Minnesota's going to make a move. I think that they're in the same situation as the Browns were. They have a rookie as a backup, so they didn't have any veteran presence there. And I think that for them, they have an unproven rookie. See, with us, they have P.J. Walker, who played a little bit in the league, and he's won some games. He's 2-1 as the Browns starting quarterback. So I think that they think that they're more secure because they kind of know what they got. Whereas this rookie backup, you don't necessarily know.
Jaron Hall.
BYU.
Yeah, BYU guy. So you don't know what you're necessarily going to get. And you're 500, so you're still right in the middle of the road for the fight. And you got to make sure that you keep this roster, make them think that, hey, they still believe in us and we still have a chance. So going to get a guy like Jameis Winston, a guy that's proven, a guy that can get the ball to Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, I think that will keep that roster still motivated. Whereas Cleveland, they've played with P.J. Walker and they've won games and obviously they lost the game, but they still are behind.
You think the players believe in him? Because if I'm a player on the Browns, Tyvis, I'm like, we got to get a better quarterback.
So, do I think the players believe in him? When I listen to them talk in post-game, yes, they sound like they do. However, I do believe that there is some frustration in the wide receiver room because if you look at the tape, it's guys that's running wide open that he's missing.
Wide open.
And I think for him, I think that their game plan is Kevin's like, listen, this is what you're going to do. You look for Amari Cooper, you look for the check down. If not, throw the ball away. I don't think he's actually going through reads and progressions like, this is cover 2. So in cover 2, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. I don't think that's what he's doing.
If you play that way, you're playing with a hand tied behind your back. I mean, you can't win consistently, especially against good teams, playing that way, can you?
No.
I would say no, but he is 2-1. So that's the thing. Kevin Stefanski's putting them in a position to win.
And it's miraculous that they're 2-1. Mike, what do you think?
I think everything Tyvis said is right. The difference here is Kirk Cousins is out for the entire season, and we just don't know when Deshaun Watson's going to come back. So to make a splash move and bring in a guy, and I'll use Jameis as an example because that's who Minnesota is linked to. Well, Minnesota's 4-4.
Yeah.
They're in the thick of the playoff race. Detroit leads that division, but the division's not over by any means. They're 2 games back at this point. You're looking at the rest of the season. That's 9 games. Jameis Winston coming in can help you win a handful of 9 games. Jaron Hall, that's a complete crapshoot. We may have Deshaun Watson back this week against Arizona.
We might not.
We might not. We may have him back next week against Baltimore. We might not. It could be the following week. But without that long-term certainty that he's going to miss a prolonged period of time, I'm not sure how much of an upgrade getting someone in other than Brissett, and he's the one exception, would be for a 1 or 2 game stopgap. Because P.J. Walker, to Tyvis' point, has proven despite being almost dead last, if not dead last, in every important basic statistic, analytical statistic, and the eye test. They've found ways to be in 3 straight games.
Okay, now you guys are wrong, and that's okay. It's good to be wrong sometimes. It builds character. You know what I'm saying? Let me tell you something. This idea that his record is 2-1, I don't care what his record is, because he contributed almost not. He's been a net negative
That's a fact.
in all 3 of those games.
Fact.
So they have found a way to win in spite of him, not because of him. So I'm giving him 0 credit for the 2-1 record. Okay. 0.
Fair.
All right. And listen, I get what you're saying about the guys on some level believe in him. He's fighting for the team, and that has value. There's no doubt about it. But in the end, he's not a good enough quarterback. And every player on that team knows it. And the Browns have a good enough team that this idea that, because Deshaun Watson's not out for the year, they shouldn't do anything. No, because Deshaun Watson is not, in theory, out for the year, it's even more imperative than they do something, because if they get a quarterback who's at least serviceable, like solid, startable, like a Jacoby Brissett, or even a Jameis Winston, even though I was kind of against that last week, I flip-flopped on that a week later as I've gotten desperate and seen P.J. Walker be terrible again. Or Andy Dalton. Those guys are starting quarterbacks in the NFL. They may be lower-tier starting quarterbacks, but they're starting quarterbacks. At worst, they're top-notch backups. P.J. Walker is lucky to be in the NFL.
I think that the problem with this whole thing is that it's the Deshaun Watson part. We don't. If they come out today and say he's going on IR for the next 4 weeks,
make a move. You're on the
then
phone
you need to make
immediately.
a move.
Yes.
But
yes.
if he's coming back next week,
but how could they know he's coming back next week, Tyvis?
You
they don't. And
there's no way to know.
That's what throws the wrench in this whole thing.
That's
exactly.
the whole problem.
Why wouldn't you get if it doesn't take an arm and a leg to get a quarterback? I get it. You don't want to give up a first-round pick or something like that for some mediocre quarterback. But if you can, at a reasonable price, get a guy who you know can hold down the fort for whether it's 2 weeks or 4 weeks. By the way, somebody tweeted this morning. I can't remember who it is, but I saw by this week with whoever starts for Minnesota, and maybe the Rams have a backup going this week.
49 new starting quarterbacks this season.
49. We're not even at the halfway point of the season. So even if Deshaun Watson does come back, this shoulder is not going to be right the whole year. So you need to have a better option. What if they get to the playoffs and Deshaun Watson, it's a close game, and he gets hurt in that game? Well, wouldn't you rather have Jacoby Brissett or Andy Dalton or even Jameis Winston rather than this guy? I mean, come on.
So
there's no doubt about it.
When you asked the initial question, how would I feel about Minnesota making a move versus Cleveland? Well, I wouldn't feel bad if Minnesota made a move just because their quarterback situation.
Fair. I don't care about Minnesota.
In this particular, this lane, do the Browns need an upgrade at quarterback too? Absolutely. Yeah. And they're frankly, with Brissett, they don't have a 4th-round pick this year, which throws a little bit of a wrench because a 3rd-round pick for a couple of games may be too high of a price for Andrew Barry to pay. But is a 5th-round pick not enough with Washington's knowing?
Sacked.
Well, he only took one sack last week. He played phenomenal last week.
But what's the difference? Listen, if the Vikings are able to get Jameis Winston for less than a 4th-round pick, let's say they get Jameis Winston for a 5th or 6th-round pick, then there's no excuse because the only argument.
I agree.
The only argument right now is
the
what's
price.
the price.
Exactly, and that's where I guess I kind of get stuck on this, where you're already a little depleted in draft capital because of the Deshaun Watson trade. You have a 2nd-round pick, a 3rd-round pick, and a 5th-round pick. That 4th-round pick's gone.
Yeah.
A 4th-round pick feels like the appropriate asking price for a serviceable quarterback.
Give him a 5th-round pick this year and a 4th-round pick next year.
And if that's the case, I'm fine with it. I just think a 3rd-round pick for what may be 1 or 2 games is a price too high to pay.
Yeah.
Which feels like nitpicking because I think this roster is a damn good roster. And with a little better quarterback play, this team can compete with anybody in the AFC.
I don't think the Browns would have to give up a 3rd-round pick to get Jameis Winston or any of those guys. I don't believe that. Now, Dalton may be the one most available too. We talked about him the least, but Carolina's awful.
Yeah. But he's not a plug-and-play guy, which then takes into your
Why
least
not? He's
opportunity.
been in the league for 15 years.
Because they're not. Because Mary Kay said yesterday that the Browns are not going to change what they want to do. They want to get guys that are like Deshaun Watson, so they don't have to change their entire.
Well,
play.
Jacoby Brissett's not like Deshaun Watson.
And that's why they haven't traded for him.
Well, that's stupid. I'm sorry, I missed that article.
That's probably why they're not.
I didn't.
Oh, it wasn't an article. She
Yeah.
said
She
it
just
on
said
the,
it, yeah.
last week on the show.
That was why they moved
Oh,
on. That's
yeah,
why they moved
Remember,
on
I
from
made the
Brissett.
joke. I was
That's
like,
right.
they're not going to get Andy Dalton because he's not black
Well,
and mobile.
that's right. But that's stupid. And
It is stupid, yeah.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
Kevin Stefanski, no, he's a good coach. He can adjust on the fly.
He better be able to.
I mean,
yeah, like he better
that's
be able
been
to.
the whole thing that people hated about him. Is he did, that whole last season, everybody said he don't do well adjusting
Yeah,
on the fly.
I don't know.
The bottom
What do I
line
know?
is, no matter how
I'm
you
freaking
slice and
Joe
dice
Dirt
it.
over here.
Do we have Mike Florio?
No,
I saw you touch here. Bottom line is PJ Walker, by any metric you want to look at, has not been the reason the Browns have been in games, as
No.
you alluded to.
No.
He has 3 turnovers against Seattle, 2 turnovers against Indy, and against San Francisco.
That's his worst. That's his worst.
He was-
if he stopped doing that, I think they
But
He
can't.
has 0
but his-
touchdown. Or, no.
He has one.
One.
Sorry, one time.
Shout out to
Zero
David
one to the-
Njoku.
But you look at his
One to
career.
Njoku, yeah.
It's not what he's doing here is not an anomaly to what he'd done previously. For his career, he has 6 touchdown passes and 18 turnovers.
6 touchdowns total.
Yes.
He don't have any rushing touchdowns in
Well,
his
so
career.
6 touchdowns
He
and
has
18
6
turnovers.
touchdowns and 18
So
turnovers.
it's not like, and perfect example, that is a 1-to-3 touchdown to turnover ratio.
Yeah.
He had 1 touchdown against Seattle, 3 turnovers. That was the epitome of what he's done
Yeah.
throughout his entire career. Now, he's 6-4 as a starter. So quarterback wins do not necessarily equal he's playing well. You have to separate those two completely. And if someone wants to tell me this Browns team can compete with the Bengals, the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Dolphins, the best teams in the AFC this season, with PJ Walker quarterback,
Can't
I'm
happen.
going to tell you you're damn crazy
No.
and go get checked. However,
They will
this
tell you
team
that-
with a better quarterback can compete with all of those teams without a doubt.
That's right.
Well, they tell you they beat the 49ers with PJ Walker.
Not because of PJ Walker. He was 0 for
Well,
5 on
they-
a game
that-
winning
but
drive.
I'm just telling you what
he was
they gonna
0 for
tell you.
5 on that game winning drive.
They're going to tell you.
The point is, once you get to the playoffs, you got to, I mean, listen, honestly, I don't think they can win in the playoffs with Jacoby Brissett. Maybe they could win one game.
But you
with
can make
Jacoby
the
in
playoffs.
But you can make it. Maybe you could win one game depending on who you play in the first round. Come on, Tyvis. I know my costume is distracting, but you got to keep it together.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm distracting myself here.
I can't wait till Mike Florio come on and Mary. Are you waiting for Mary Kate? You waiting the whole show?
I'm going to try.
Okay.
Eventually, the week may get annoying enough that I may throw it off. But for now,
Well, real quick, Earl just sent us a text. According
Yeah.
to J.P. Finley of NBC Sports, who does a really good job covering the Washington
Yeah.
football team,
yeah.
the Commanders now.
Yeah.
He just reported the Browns are, quote, chasing quarterback Jacoby Brissett from the Commanders as the deadline.
All right.
nears.
Well, they should have done it 3